And we are live. What's going on YouTube Live? It is your boy Billy Rowe. Today is Wednesday. I'd like to welcome you to the first row. And if it is Wednesday, you should already know what that means. It's time for a Wednesday word. That's Wednesday word. Jumping straight into it. Tonight's topic is you can't always be the hero. So as always with all of my topics, I'd like to say what I mean by my topic. So what do I mean when I say you can't always be the hero? What I'm referring to in this particular case is typically in relationships, whether intimate, friendships, family members, or whatever it may be. We typically put ourselves in this position where we sometimes self-proclaim ourselves as the go-to person in the relationship, the person who's going to bail us out of trouble if we get into trouble, if we get into a tight spot, or whatever it may be. But in putting ourselves in that role and putting ourselves in that position, what it does is it forces us to constantly and continually be the hero when adversity comes up, either in the relationship or in a portion of the relationship for the other party. So when I say you can't always be the hero, what I'm talking about is putting ourselves in that position unnecessarily, and sometimes the need to pull ourselves out of that position in order to allow growth to take place for the other individual. So tonight, as always, I have selected 3 tools that I want to share with you when it comes to not always being the hero. You can't always be the hero. That really kind of resonated with me, and I felt like would be helpful in sharing with you if you're dealing with this particular situation in your own personal life. So let's jump straight into it. The very, very first tool when it comes to you can't always be the hero is a hero needs to understand their powers, is really understanding your powers. And the reason why this is the first tool is because number one, let's use, the superhero universe that's out there right now in the movie theaters. If your power is not the ability to fly and you go jumping off of a building to save somebody who's falling from the said building, then what ends up happening is you both end up slamming into the ground because that's not your power. Flight is not your power. So the reason why I say understanding your power is, okay, well, maybe I can't fly, but maybe I can run super fast like the Flash. So maybe what I do have time to do is not necessarily fly down there, grab you and keep you from falling, but maybe I have time to run down all these stairs, get something that's softer for you to land on, and then be able to have you safely land on that object rather than risking both of our lives with me jumping off the building with you. Now, when it comes to our powers, when it comes to putting ourselves into, when you put the real world into it and take superhero world out of it, putting ourselves into situations where we're putting ourselves into that hero mode, or we're putting on our cape, or we're putting on our mask, or putting on whatever we're putting on in order to perform in this hero dynamic in the relationship, there's really 2 different things that happen. We need to understand our powers, which are really our talents. The talents can come from 2 different dynamics, though. They can come from either our natural talents, your natural gifts. Maybe you're naturally a compassionate person. You're naturally an analytical person. You're naturally a solution-oriented person. And so those are your natural talents that you can operate within. Or they can be developed, meaning you can maybe study, go to school and study psychology. So though you may not naturally be a compassionate or understanding person, because of your method of study in school, now you may have some additional tools that allow you to be that person. Using those particular talents and using those particular tools when it comes to understanding your powers will help you decide that, hey, is this a situation that I should be jumping into to assist in, or is this a situation that I should kind of stay back in, or maybe divert to somebody else? It's okay to be a superhero and call a friend and say, look, this is beyond me. This is beyond my understanding or beyond my capabilities. I need somebody else to step in there on this one because the person genuinely does need help. However, I don't have the talent. I don't have the powers to handle that. So that's the very first tool, is understanding your powers, because once you have a good and a firm grasp or understanding of your powers, you have the ability to say, hey, this is not something that I'm going to be saving the day in. Or you have the ability to understand that that power may be a finite source. So whether it's patience, your patience might be a finite source and it's not unlimited. So you have to decide, am I going to burn some patience here with this person, or am I going to withhold patience and allow this person to experience whatever it is that they're experiencing without getting or without intervening. So that's the first tool. The tool number 2 that I came across, or that I decided to select, was avoid fostering heroic environments. And so this is why I kind of compared this heroicness to relationships, because often you'll hear people say, oh, well, why can't I find a good man? Why can't I find a good woman? All these different things. Or how come I always end up with the bad guys? Or how come I always end up with the bad girls? They ask these questions, but they don't realize that they are actually fostering the relationships for that. And they don't, and I will use myself. I, at some point in my life, didn't realize that I was in this knight in shining armor complex. And so I would find people that I was interested in dating or interested in talking to, and then it would be like, oh, well, they don't really need me the way that my ego feels that it needs to feel needed. And so I would be like, they have their stuff together too much, or they don't seem like they care enough about me, and I mean, that's important, but I mean, care enough about me in the sense of I'm not the center of their world and the universe is not revolving around me. All these different things. And so what I did is I would go and get in relationships with people who needed me, who couldn't necessarily function as effectively without me. And that was me fostering that environment for me to be the hero. Oh my God, he's so good at budgeting. Hero. Oh my gosh, he can sing. He's, a leader. Hero. Oh my gosh, all these different things. Hero. And I was fostering this hero environment to support a hero complex. Now that's a whole nother Wednesday word, but going back to, again, you can't always be the hero. If you understand that you cannot always be the hero, then you also should understand that you should not be creating environments that foster your heroic efforts. Another thing within this is that you'll find when we're younger, a lot of us, I don't know enough about child psychology, but I believe a lot of us, when we're younger, like in the 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old stage, we really fight to be independent. It's like everything that a parent or an adult tries to do for you, it's like, I can do it. I'll do it. And you may not even know how to do it, but you're willing to try until you get to a point where you're frustrated, and then you just maybe quit or give up on it. But we come from a very young age, we start at a place of wanting to establish independence. And so avoiding fostering that heroic environment is really about connecting back with that younger age, not just for ourselves, but for that individual as well, saying, you know what? There was a time where you wanted to figure it out. There was a time where you wanted to come up with a solution. And though maybe I had to teach you a couple of things to get to this point where you can come up with a solution, now I'm going to give you some of that space and some of that opportunity to really, what in essence it is save yourself. Now I'm going to give you this opportunity to learn how to tread water. Now, fortunately, I'm not going to let you drown, but I am going to let you learn how to tread water to keep your head above the surface. So if you can keep your head above the surface, you still got air and everything else coming in, you'll figure your way back out to the shore, hopefully. And if you don't, then we send out that life vest, or then we send out that boat, or then we put on our heroic cape or suit and we go out there, and then we contribute to help. The other thing is not just teaching individuals to interact with their own heroic abilities, but it's also about really identifying when someone needs help. Again, we're avoiding fostering a heroic environment. So if you want to avoid fostering a heroic environment, you have to understand when that person really needs help. Now, that's kind of hard because there's a lot of complex emotions, energies, situations, and all kinds of things that play into that. However, one of the scenarios that comes to my mind is I know 2 people currently who are struggling with alcoholism. 2 people. And in their struggles with alcoholism, there's a couple things that I'm obviously going to, like, right off the bat do. I'm not going to invite you to come to a place like either my house or anything else to drink alcohol if I know you struggle with alcoholism. But here's the thing. One person I'm willing to be more involved with in trying to make sure they stay out of that alcohol pool or that alcohol environment. The other person, I'm not willing to be that buffer to try to keep them out of those alcohol situations. And the reason is because I can identify based on the situation they both need help. I'm not saying neither one needs more help than the other. They both need help, but one person is a little more serious about wanting help to solve the issue than the other person. You can't tell me like a bunch of empty promises or a bunch of empty apologies. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that term, but an empty promise means you're really not going to do it. And an empty apology means you really don't care and you're really not sorry for it. Or maybe you are really sorry for it, but you're not sorry enough for it not to do the actions that lead to that situation. So the person who's leading with these empty promises and these empty apologies, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I've hurt my family and I'm making these decisions and I'm trying to get the help that I need. And then I go into a program, and the day I get out of the program, the first thing I do is drink. Sorry about that. Normally I have my phone on silent, but the first thing I do is drink. And I'm now right back into the swing of how to consume alcohol. For me, my heroic cape, I'm not jumping into that particular environment because of the fact that it's like when you are serious, when you are really, really, really ready to work to try to get through this issue, or when you get to a point where you're serious about doing the work to get through this issue, then I can come in and help you. I'm not designed in this particular case to put on my suit to come in and be that support network to you in the interim of when you're playing hot potato, I'm in, I'm out, hokey pokey, I'm in and I'm out. I'm not going to commit my resources there because I have other things that I need to commit my resources and my time to. Now, if they ever get serious and they come out of a 12-step program or a 3-step program or a 5-step program, if they come out of a program and they're serious about not consuming alcohol, then I can say, okay, let's get together and go to the gym and work out. That'll keep you out of a place where you're not going to drink alcohol. You're not going to drink alcohol while you're working out because you pass out. Let's, have a board game night and just, make some smoothies or whatever it may be. Then I'll commit that. But it's really about understanding how to avoid fostering that environment to where I'm just jumping in and like, oh, you need help? Okay, you need support. Oh, you need this. Oh, you need that. Oh, well, let me run here and get my cape. And now that I'm out of the booth and I'm Superman, let me fly over here to save you. No, because I have an understanding of my powers. I have an understanding of my limited amount of patience that I have. I'm not going to foster that environment to where I need to continually be the hero for that person. Whereas the other person is honestly making an effort, and it's a struggle for that person. They're both dealing with the same struggles, but it's a struggle for that person to not drink alcohol. Now, when they find themselves around alcohol, I immediately hold them accountable. Why are you around something that you struggle with not being able to consume? Those are things that I'm immediate with them about, and I talk to them about, very candid, very upfront and honest. But my focus with that person is because of, or my energies and effort with that person are because I can see that there is not an empty promise or an empty apology. There is true sympathy for true remorse for the actions that they have chosen. And they are really trying hard to make better decisions for themselves. So I know that was very long-winded, but that's tool number 2, avoid fostering heroic environments. And then the third and the final tool, when it comes to you can't always be the hero, is for many of us, it's a familiar tool. If you do any kind of self-development reading, it's really about applying the law of 33. And if you don't know what that is, in very short, the law of 33 simply says this: you should have 33% in each of these tiers. You should have 33% of people who are below your abilities, 33% of people who are at your abilities, and 33% of people who are above your abilities. And that, applying that law of 33, really it's looking at what your overall circle is. Because if your overall circle says, well, I got 66% of the people that are below my ability and only 33% are at my ability, that means if you ever come into the position where you may, quote unquote, need a hero, you might not have one. You might find yourself out there treading water until you're exhausted, no lifeboat coming until you go under and don't come back up. So that's why I say learn to apply the law of 33, because again, if everything rests on you, there's 2 things that happen. Everything rests on you and you collapse. Now you don't have the ability to support yourself should you find yourself into trouble, number 1. Number 2, the people who are all relying on you to be the hero, the people who are saying, help, Spider-Man save me, help, Superman save me, help, Captain America save me. Those people who are saying that, guess what? They can say help all they want, but nobody's coming until they find a new hero. Unfortunately for you, it may not be you because you have exhausted yourself in trying to fight every single fire and every single situation that has come up. And then when it comes to the middle people who are your peers, it's great to have people that, again, you can defer to. We are all unique. So if you have people who are at your level, 33% of the people are at your level, you have people you could say, hey, I'm dealing with this, or this person is dealing with this. I'm not really 100% on this particular subject, but I know you have some experience with it. Can you jump in and be a mediator, or be a person, be a substitute hero? Shoot, can you jump in and be Robin really quick to the Batman? What can you do to help? That's having people at your level. And then again, having people, that 33% of people above your level, gives you a place to go should you find yourself where you need help, where you're in need of assistance. And it's not about, it's not about necessarily like how much money the person has, or it's not even necessarily that the person is typically smarter than you. It could just be that that person in this particular area has a much more keen skill set, or a much more keen talent than you in that area, and they have the ability to help you by reaching down in that area. So those are the three tools that I came up with tonight for the first row Wednesday word. Really quick to go over them again. The very first tool, when you can't always be the hero, is understanding your powers. I want to say understanding your superpowers. The second tool is avoiding fostering heroic environments. Quit creating your own chaos to be the hero in. And then number three is apply the law of 33. That again is having one person, or 33% of the people are below your abilities, 33% of the people are at your abilities, and 33% of the people are above your abilities. So those are the tools tonight. As always with the Wednesday word, I like to share a personal story, something that kind of got me thinking about this topic. And there was actually a couple of instances that got me thinking about this topic, but one that really just resonates with me and has constantly been with me my entire life is the superhero that many of us have when we're growing up, which was my mother. My mother was definitely a phenomenal woman. She had her abilities that she was great at, and she had her abilities that she was not so great at. But overall, she was a great mother. And one of the things about my mother is she was very candid with me on her understanding of her powers, her superpowers as a parent when I was growing up. And one of the things about my mom is that she doesn't know how to swim. And so she would always tell me, Billy, don't play in the water if you can't like swim, because if you drown or if you need help out in the water, I don't know how to swim, and I'm not coming out there to drown with you. So it was very early, at a very early age, it was very apparent to me that I needed to know how to swim. And as such, she put me in swimming lessons. So this goes into avoiding fostering that heroic environment. She put me into swimming lessons so that though she didn't know how to swim, that I knew how to swim, teaching me how to be effectively my own hero. Now, I'm a pretty dense, heavy person, so I don't float unless the water is forget what the word is, but there's a lot of salt in it. So if there's not a lot of salt in the water, I'm not floating. I'm going to sink like a rock. So it's important for me to know how to swim. Now, I remember being younger, and we were out at the river one day, and I was sitting on this riverbank just watching boats go by, people playing in the water. My friend and I from the neighborhood was sitting on the beach, and a boat comes by and a wave hits us. And, cool, we're kids, we're happy to get wet. And I'm laughing, and I look to my left and my friend is gone. And when I see my friend is gone, it's because the wave has taken him into the river. And I remember my mom screaming for my father and his father to let them know that he had went into the water. But I never seen my mom get out of the chair, because she was so steadfast about, if you go into the water, I'm not coming in to save you. And again, what that showed me was she's not playing about not saving me, because this kid I grew up with, we were really close. Like, our families were very close, and she didn't get out of the chair. She screamed for somebody to help him, but she didn't get out of the chair. It was like, hey, can y'all help him? Because I'm not going in to drown with him. So that was the second thing. And then really the last part of that is understanding that law of 33, that my mother didn't have the ability to teach me how to swim. I'm sure my mother had peers who didn't know how to swim. However, the fact that she was willing to go above her equal tier and go to the tier above her, she was able to find through research, hey, there's some swimming lessons at, I believe I went to Pole Park, or Pole Pool, Pope Pool. to learn how to swim. So getting those instructions from the instructor, learning how to swim properly, learning how to breathe, learning how to swim underwater, learning how to tread water, learning how to swim above water, all those things were because of her going to her level above her and saying, this is beyond my skill set. This is beyond my abilities. This is beyond my superpowers. I'm going to go ahead and get somebody here who can teach you something that I can't teach you so that you can save yourself in something that I can't save yourself in. And that's really what You Can't Always Be the Hero is about. It's about getting people to that teachable moment to where they are in a position to save themselves. And you're not the person who's always throwing on the cape at the last minute or throwing on the mask at the last minute to be the hero. Quit creating those environments, because at some point that drain takes a toll on you, and then you're not a useful hero and you're not useful to yourself. Other than that, I thank you guys for rocking with me tonight. I hope you guys have a great holiday tomorrow and enjoy a holiday weekend. Be safe in whatever you do, whatever you choose to do. I'm looking forward to interacting with you guys next week. Next week, I've decided there will not be an interstation next week as well. I'm going to be spending some time with my sons. They're coming to visit me, so I'm going to spend some time with them, but there will be a Wednesday word. So I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday at the same time, 7:30 p.m. out here, but 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That topic will be determined, and I will share that as soon as I have it. But other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, if you like this video, share it. If you share it, like it, we're happy to engage with you in the comments and in the chat. If you have a subject that you would like us to talk about on the First Row, please send us an email to topics@firstrow. That's 1stwroe.com. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon on the next episode, but until the next time, one love, peace, and God bless.